Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon to you to all, and welcome to ABP Education. My name is Prabjeet Singh, and I would like to welcome you all to the next webinar in the Campus to Career series. And before talking about the webinar today and introducing the panel today, I'd like to talk about abpeducation.com. abpeducation.com is a newly released site from the Ananda Bazar Patrika Group, and it is powered by the Telegraph Online and anandabazar.com. Everything that happens in the world of higher education is covered on abpeducation.com, including results, exams, tips, guidance, and also global universities abroad. And now talking about the Campus to Career series. The Campus to Career series started on August 12 with the Bengal Education Leaders Summit, and it was attended by Mr. Partho Chatterjee, the State Education Minister. And now today's topic of the webinar, Emerging Career Options in Law. With that, I'd like to introduce to you all the panel. Justice Manju Goyal, Chairperson of Committee for Preparation of Training Module for Legal Service Lawyers, Paralegal Volunteers and Probation Officers. Former judge of Delhi High Court, Justice Manju Goyal became the first woman to join the West Bengal Civil Service Judicial in 1970. She served as lecturer of economics before joining judicial service. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Next on the panel, Professor Dr. Subhash Chandra Naik. Professor Dr. S.C. Raina has been a former founding Vice Chancellor of Himachal Pradesh National Law University, Shimla. He has also been a Dean, Faculty of Law, University of Delhi. Welcome, Professor Raina. Next on the panel is Professor Dr. S.P. Agarwal, Vice Chancellor, Sai Nath University, Ranchi. Mr. Agarwal is a civil engineer by qualification with specialization in solid waste management. He has visited Harvard Business School, Southern Methodist University, University of Texas, the Syracuse University, Ohio State University, University of Dallas to understand teaching and learning purposes. Welcome, Mr. Agarwal. Next on the panel is Ms. Sucharita Basu, partner, Aquilaw. She offers legal advice across sectors. She practices laws relating to corporate, trusts, real estate, infrastructure, government, and policy. Her clients include corporates, governments, and individuals. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next on the panel is Dr. Jyotsna Yagnik, Pro Vice Chancellor, Adamas University, the former Principal Judge of City, Civil and Sessions Court. Dr. Yagnik has been POTA, NIA and CBI Judge of Gujarat. She is an LLM and PhD in law. Next on the panel is Mr. Paresh R. Jain, Solicitor and Attorney. He is President of the Ahmedabad Bar Association, also member of the Bar Council, leading Solicitor of Gujarat and Attorney of the High Court of Judicature of Bombay since 1976. His expertise is in real estate, conveyancing, and insurance. With this, I'd like to show you all a short video before I Now introducing the moderator, Professor Ujjwal K. Chaudhary, Pro Vice Chancellor, Adamas University. Mr. Chaudhary is a leading media and communication academic, having been earlier the Dean of Media of Symbiosis and Amity University, Woods International, Mumbai, and Pearl Academy of Delhi and Mumbai. He is a known face in TV studio debates and a regular writer in Indian media. With this, I'd like to hand over the session to Mr. John. Have a great one, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Singh, and thank you for the warm welcome from abpeducation.com. I find more than 100 people have already joined live here. There would be many more on Facebook and YouTube as well. I really appreciate the efforts of abpeducation.com to look into every specialized area of learning and bring about some of the best minds in each area. I was also participant in your media and communication panel earlier. I have seen in others where I heard, from cyber security or design and other filmmaking, those career talks also. And today it's a pleasure to be moderating this session. I've been seeing how meticulously ABP Education has been calling best minds in the country as available at a point of time to come together. And actually, in my opinion, the major task that you are doing is to encourage, inspire, motivate the young generation who are going through, all of us are going through this pandemic, but the people who are, the panelists are largely on the, most of us across all panels are largely on the other side of 45, 50 years. So the youngsters who are in their late teens or early 20s, they are the ones whose entire future is ahead of them. And the challenges that they're facing is a major one. So it's important today that we look at their interests and talk in their interest. And finally, inform them, educate them, mentor them, counsel them, inspire them, and motivate. So the next 120 minutes, I hope, will be a high dose of information and motivation for any and every youngster who wants to come in the field of judiciary or legal practice, whether in a law firm or in corporate law or with NGOs and other organizations, international organizations, or becoming a judge in any aspect, particularly in the context of post-pandemic times that we are going to have. So I would request everyone here, the practitioners and the educationists both, we will not waste much time talking about our past and our glories. No youngster is interested in my CV, honestly speaking. And we will also not waste our time by talking a lot about our universities or colleges and their infrastructure. The interest of the youngsters is more to understand what is the life in front of them if they take up a career in the field of legal or judicial services. With this introductory comment, good thing for me, I am not from law. I had a paper of international law in my university, but that was just a paper. My education is in the field of communication, and therefore I would not have much to comment on each panelist rather than just being a good timekeeper and calling each one by turns and taking up the questions of the audience from the chat box. So 116 people now. I request everyone, 117, I think the number will keep growing in the next 5-10 minutes. So I will request everyone who is in the audience to, even those who are in Facebook or YouTube, I may not be seeing their questions. The organizers can send the questions in the chat box. But those who are in the Zoom, to directly ask questions in the chat box, I will take your questions as many as possible within the 120 minutes and ask to this very erudite, very leading panel. We have a panel, don't worry, my light has gone, so it will again come, don't worry about that. So we have a panel which includes judges, very senior lawyers, solicitors, and also vice chancellors and pro-vice chancellors. It's a fabulous panel that one could have. So let me start with someone very experienced, very senior in our group here. Let me start with Honorable Justice Manju Goyalji, who is the chairperson of the Committee for Preparation of Training Module for Legal Services. Now this is Manju Goyalji, the highlight could be higher. Thank you, madam. I think you are joining from Delhi, perhaps. And so nice to have you on the show, ma'am. And so nice to see people from Delhi, Ahmedabad, Calcutta, and Mumbai, if I'm not wrong. the panelists from all this part. That also means, I don't know if anyone is from South India, it shows that we have a national panel today. And ma'am, you are already on this chair, you're the chairperson of the committee for preparation of training module for legal services. That's very close to those who will become, become judges of the future or lawyers of the future. So this is the audience that you are anyway handling through the committee as well. There are many young people, largely students, and those who are current students of law and want to study law. Post-pandemic, what do you think would be the impact on the legal profession? And what should be the points of consideration for anyone coming into judicial services going ahead? Over to Justice Manjuji.
First of all, assure me that I'm audible.
Yes, you are very audible, very visible, very nicely.
Okay, very nice. Well, the organizers, ABP Education, Prabjit Sethi and others, and then Dr. Subhash Chandra Rana, Dr. S.P. Agarwal, Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary, Jyotsna Yagnik, Mr. Paresh Jani, and Suchitra Basu, and all my audience may be students and teachers in law and my friends. Well, it was a very pleasant surprise to me when Dr. Jyotsna Yagnik called me up a couple of days back and asked me if I would join this workshop. It was then that I came to know that ABP actually meant Ananda Bazar Patrika, because I watch ABP News, Aapko Rakhe Aage, but then I did not know that it was the same Ananda Bazar Patrika which was my everyday diet when I was in Calcutta. And in fact, I was born and brought up in West Bengal and joined the West Bengal Judicial Service at the age of 25, and I happened to be the first woman to join that service. And later on, I moved to Delhi, and it was only then that I lost my contact with ABP or Ananda Bazar Patrika. Now, coming to the topic, this law for this matter was not such an attractive career option about 30 years back. Things started changing 30 years back because the Supreme Court started adopting an activist attitude and came out with various methods of giving relief to parties and used its writ jurisdiction to the fullest extent and advising and directing government in various fields. So all important decisions concerning the country started being taken in the Supreme Court itself, as to, for example, as to whether there should be reservation for OBC and what should be the rights of a prisoner, or and various small things and big things. Everybody looked up to Supreme Court, and naturally the bar also became prominent. And legal education, which at my time was the most neglected area, came to prominence with the establishment of National Law School of India University in Bangalore, which was then followed by other institutes, and a full-time law course was made available to people, very different from what we could access. A part-time law course, two periods a day, either in the morning or in the evening, after you have done your regular routine work or you have done some other course. So then the law becomes very prominent. There is a competitive examination for admission and very tough 5 years. Now, after 5 years, what lies ahead? This is today's question. What lies ahead? Where are you going? Where are you heading? So this question I want to answer. Now, you see, before you decide to take up a particular career, you want to know the nature of the job and the good side and not so good side of that particular job, and prepare yourself for that, or you ask yourself, are you ready for this kind of a job? For example, if you want to join the medical profession, you should know that there are night duties. You should know that infected patients will come to you. And the other sides, apart from the fact, the good things that you will be serving the humanity, looking after health of people. And that is a very satisfying experience. If you are going to become an engineer, you should be conscious of the fact that you will be spending much of your time outdoors. Maybe you have to work in the sun and in the rain and in adverse weather conditions and things like that. Now, law is, we have to now understand what is law as a profession. The most obvious choice for a boy or a girl who is now in LLB final years, or maybe second, third, or fourth year, or fifth year, the most obvious choice for them is to join the bar. And some people move from bar to bench. Some people want to join the bench even in the very beginning, that is soon after you got the degree in your hand, you want to join the judiciary through a competitive examination. So the question is, which one you prefer? Now, you see, let me talk only about judiciary, not about the bar, because I think I have only 6 minutes in my hand, of which I may have already consumed more than a minute. Now, we have to understand the job of a judge. What does a judge do? The judge adjudicates. Now, the word adjudicate means what? Judge decides, understandable, very easy to understand. But there are various ways of deciding. For example, if you have a firearm in your hand, it is very easy to decide a dispute with your adversary, because the firearm will do what a court or the police may not do. But then adjudication is not using your force or your power or your advantages, etc., for deciding a dispute. Adjudication is deciding according to law, by scientific methods of procedure and process, and finally coming out with a judgment which is not only understandable but acceptable to others who are parties and who are not parties to that same dispute. So in adjudication, this attitude that both parties are equal, law has to be applied equally to all, you have to be unbiased, and you have to be neutral, you have to be independent, you have to be impartial, because you have to have a very scientific method of looking at things and come out with a verdict which, well, not like the verdict of a scientist, but the verdict which is scientifically arrived at, and something which you can explain, justify, and scrutinize. So that is adjudication. That calls for a lot of perseverance, a lot of study, a lot of self-sacrifice, etc., etc. You decide for yourself, are you ready for this kind of a job?
We will come in the second round. So kindly make your point in with the next 30 seconds, and we'll come back in the second round again.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, how does the adjudication take place? The adjudication is on the basis of facts, and facts are determined on the basis of evidence, and evidence is taken according to the law that allows what evidence is admissible and what evidence is not admissible. After taking evidence, the judge evaluates the evidence, finds out which witness is believable, which is not, which is good evidence and not good evidence, and eventually he produces the facts from the evidence that this is what must have happened, and therefore he then proceeds to decide on the basis of these facts which party should win and what relief one can give to the party that wins, the relief that can be given, and how that party can be satisfied. So this is the process of adjudication. This is the basic nature of the judge's work. So I will now reserve the rest of what I want to tell you for the second round.
Very good. Thank you. You have actually set the ball rolling very strongly with the concept of adjudication. And adjudication is at the heart of a judge's role. So that's the sum and substance of a judge's role. We'll come back to you again in the second round. I'll request every panelist to limit within 5 minutes so that we can have 2, 3, or 4 rounds as the time permits. And we should already 7, 8 questions have been asked by the audience. 146 people are live on the Zoom. So let's have faster talk, but several rounds so that everyone goes satisfied at the end of the 120 minutes that their aspects were taken up. So I request next Honorable Paresh R. Jani, solicitor and attorney, leading solicitor of Gujarat and attorney of the High Court of Judicature of Bombay for a very, very long time. Paresh bhai, thank you for joining. Namaste. So please discuss from a lawyer's practitioner's point of view. We had a judge speaking. Now you are on the other side. You are from the bar. So if you could speak on what this COVID impact has been on the role of the lawyer, and how should these young lawyers who are in the audience prepare themselves for the future. Over to Sri Paresh Jani ji.
Thank you. I will speak only about the options which are available in
Right.
to the students who are present over here. Number one, so far as the branches of law are concerned, there are 2 main branches. One is court practice or litigation practice, and another is a chamber practice. The lawyers who are practicing in the court, they are also known as litigation lawyers. In court also there are 2 main branches. One is criminal side, another is civil side. And if we look at the civil side, then most of the lawyers who are working on the civil side, they get the result of the case after about 7 years or 8 years or 10 years. But the earning is very good. If you are sharp in civil law, then a lawyer who becomes a civil lawyer can certainly earn about ₹2 to 5 lakhs rupees after a practice of about 3, 4, 5 years. And it is very easy to earn that much amount. So far as criminal practice is concerned, it is also very easy because most of the cases, they do not, at the final trial, most of the offenders, they are released by the court, they are not convicted by the court, and that is also one of the good thing or bad thing, but that is the main thing. Now, the main thing is this, so far as court lawyers are concerned or litigation lawyers are concerned, he has got a very good thing to tell to his client. If he wins, then he always tells that it is his victory. If he loses, then he always tells that, well, the judge was unable to understand our case, but certainly there is very good chance in appeal, and let us go for an appeal. So this will be the second round.
I like it, sir, the way you say it.
Yes, sir. Now, so far as court practice is concerned, too much of intelligence is not required. What is required is too much of convincing power to the judge as well as to the other sides who are present in the court. So that if the judge is convinced, then you are winning the case. If the judge is not convinced, then you are not winning the case. Secondly, you also must know the mind reading. Mind reading of the judge, that judge is going into which direction, whether he is with you or he is with the opponent. And thirdly, presence of mind is also very much required. If you have got that capacity, presence of mind, then you will win most of the cases. I will show you the other quasi-judicial practice also. Just Can you give me the option of screen sharing, please?
Screen share, please, from the host. Is there a possible? Yeah. I think screen share is.
I'm doing that.
Yeah. Very good and practical comments from Paresh R. Jani Sahab. Very well presented. And for youngsters, this is the right way to think how practically you can do. Over the screen share, we can see, sir, judicial system.
Judicial system in India, I have mentioned. On left hand side there is civil side, on another right hand side there is criminal side. Then in civil side there is civil judge junior division, civil judge senior division, then district judge comes, then high court, division bench and Supreme Court. On the right hand side, criminal side also, there is judicial magistrate court, then there is sessions court, there is district and sessions court, and then again there is high court and high court. Now, if we go to the quasi-judicial court, then there is a large scope so far as lady lawyers are concerned, very frankly speaking. Excuse me for saying this. There is a family court which handles the divorce matters and maintenance matters. Then there is a consumer court which is very good because you see in these courts, consumer court, family court, then cooperative courts, the lawyer becomes free by working only for 2 or 3 hours, not more than that. He is not required to pass the whole day like civil cases and criminal cases. Then there is also debt recovery tribunal court for bankers. Then there is income tax court, charity commissioner court, real estate court, national company law tribunal, that is also a new court. Arbitration practice is also very good practice. There is also railway claims tribunal for loss or damage of goods, accident damages, then central excise, then central administrative tribunal for service and certain, etc., sales tax, GST court. And the main thing is this, that very strict rules of Evidence Act are not applicable so far as this quasi-judicial court is concerned. Then if we go to the other side entirely, if you want to do only chamber practice, then this field is also one of the best fields, conveyancing practice. And the lawyers are also known as non-litigation, it is also known as non-litigation practice or drafting of document practice. Now, if we go to Transfer of Property Act, because every person during his lifetime will buy at least one house and one office. That is the main thing. Now, if you are the lawyer of conveyance in the conveyancing side, then someday some people will come to you for a drafting of agreements, contracts or MOU. Then sale deeds will have to be prepared and signed. If you want the loan, if you want to buy the house and if you are going to bankers, then for drafting of mortgage deed also lawyer is required. Then if you want to give something to your wife in your old age, then gift deeds are also required to be made by lawyers. Lease deed, in main cities, lease is also very important transaction of property. Therefore, you are also requiring the help of lawyers for drafting of these deeds. Then partition deeds. Now, all of these things required a lawyer to investigate the titles of the property, whether the vendor is having a clear and marketable title or he is not having clear and marketable title. That is also very good work. Then that work at least pays. If you are investigating the title of a single property, then you will certainly be able to charge not less than rupees 50,000 if it is a good property, say of 10 crores or 15 crores. Then project report, the industrialist and businessmen want to start the project, then also he needs to have a project report. Due diligence report is also very much important so far as bankers are concerned, bankers loan is concerned. Due diligence report means you have to investigate the title also, and you also will have to tell where is the property, if the property is far away from the railway station or not. Then redevelopment, nowadays development agreement and redevelopment agreement, redevelopment of the old property, that is also very important scope. Contract Act means the movable properties. If we go to there, then there is mercantile agreement, collaboration agreement between the two companies. Then agency agreement is also very important. Service agreement, merger and amalgamation agreement, IPR, intelligent property agreements, that is also very much important. So far as Succession Act is concerned, everyone needs to have to go for drafting of a will to the lawyer, and that is also every person will be nowadays they go for drafting of will, making the will and register it. Codicil means correction in the will, and deed of cancellation of will. Therefore, this conveyancing practice is also very good practice. Quasi-judicial practice is very good practice, and I think that later on we can discuss them in detail. Thank you.
Thank you. You have actually set the entire world of judiciary and law practice together. And you know, I just really like this chamber versus court practice. This differentiation, very important. We always think in the terms of court practice. We rarely think in terms of chamber practice also. So that's another. Thank you, Pareshji, for your very erudite presentation. Now this Anishur Rahman, I think the gentleman Anishur Rahman was asking for the PPT of the file. Mr. Rahman, this is in the Facebook page of ABP Education. Even after this program, you'll find the whole video. You can just check the video. You can freeze frame when the slides are being shown, and you can take use of it, make use of it. There is another question also. Let me quickly answer. This young lady, her name is just a minute, Angelina Goswami, who has said that you are in class 10. Angelina, so nice to know that you are thinking of law even when you are in class 10, but you have to pass class 12 for getting into law education, 5 years law education after class 12 only. Someone has also asked about MSc. Let me also quickly take up that question as well. Someone is doing MSc, Kaushik Aich, and wants to do a 3-year LLB after that. Yes, technically you can do, but not all law schools have 3 years LLB anymore. Very few law schools have it. For example, I know my university where I'm talking from, Adamas University, has only 5 years LLB, and that's after 12. But there are some universities which have 3 years LLB as well. So I invite the next speaker now, Dr. Jyotsna Yagnik, who is the Pro Vice Chancellor and also the Dean of School of Law and Justice. And ma'am, I really like this name, Law and Justice, not just School of Law, and Justice is also included. You maybe you can throw light upon that. And madam has been her judge herself, principal judge from Ahmedabad city. And she has some very famous verdicts given with respect to women's rights, environmental issues, and on communal rights as well. So I welcome Dr. Yagnik to speak what should be the focus areas of young people coming into law, particularly in this year, which is a very different year. In the last 100 years, we never had this sort of a year going through the pandemic. So your opinion, your suggestions for the young people. Dr. Yagnik, please, for your 5 minutes.
Thank you, Professor Chaudhary. Today morning, I was reading a news, and I was just reading that Calcutta High Court has yesterday only given a direction that country is now unlocked and trial where under trial prisoners, RAP, POXO, negotiable instrument act, etc. are there, they must immediately start. So one thing is that law is a field which never goes stale. Whether sun may shine or not, but law is something which continuously there in human life. Before birth, after death, law is constantly marching with every person. So law is a very, very important career option. Another thing was that Delhi High Court yesterday directs that Delhi University should issue digital degree certificate. This is also a news which is leading us to think that in today's situation, COVID-19 situation, Corona situation, things are not very hopeless. Rather, in our teaching options, many more things have been added. Now we have never thought of virtual courts, but today virtual courts are full-fledged ongoing. In every corner of India, virtual courts are made functional. Judges are operating from their home. Not only important matter, but even the routine matters which are impending for long time, those matters are also being conducted. In this age, in School of Law and Justice like us, we teach professionalism and ethics, which is essential for virtual courts. Though it is not a part of syllabus because no one has visualized that we need to teach our student the ethics and professionalism to be observed in virtual court. But that has become part of the syllabus today, because if we don't teach that, tomorrow's day, as is in the teaching, blending teaching, some teaching is virtual and some teaching is physical. In the same way, I see that The days are not far where some of the matters where only arguments are to be made, which are short-term matters or which are interim matters or which are the matters for urgent order, etc., will have to be conducted on virtual basis. And very less matters where cross-examination is important, perhaps physical hearing may take place. So this is one thing. Professor Chaudhary was asking me that why the name is School of Law and Justice. I'm more than delighted to say that here we are having 5 retired district and session judges, because it is along with School of Law, it is also School of Justice, where justice oriented education is emphasized, where clinical education is emphasized, where we do not only impart theoretical knowledge, coupled with theoretical knowledge on every subject. Clinical education is imparted with the help of 2 of the seasoned and senior lawyer, 1 public prosecutor, and 4 judges who are regularly coming over here and imparting legal education. So that's why the name is Law and Justice. Another thing which I wish to draw attention of all those who are aspirant to join law as their career, that today so many fields have opened, so many vistas have opened. Now the law field is such where it has an international connection. Now there were many options, but one option which I am seeing recently has been added is journalism for court matters. Today, people are more interested in seeing court matter. One of the friend of media was telling that TRP is more when something is being discussed about some media trial, some ongoing matters, some ongoing controversial issues like RIA, etc. going on at present. People are more interested in that. So therefore now, be it print media or be it visual media, but one thing is common, there every media houses wanted someone who is LLB to be their journalist, to be their media reporter, so as to see to it that they do not come in the clutches of contempt or they do not commit any mistake, because after all, law has many technicalities. Just now, my dear friend, Mr. Jani, an advocate and solicitor, very well known, has shown us very good slides. In that, we have seen that so many tribunals have added. Therefore, now the legal practice, sky is the limit. So many tribunals, so many additions, so much exposure, and ADR, alternative dispute resolution, where Honorable Madam Justice Manju, Madam is a head to decide the syllabus, how to impart education on legal services. So that is also one very great area which is coming up very well. So alternative dispute resolutions, increasing mediations, court annex mediation procedures, etc. all are such which guide us, counsel us that there are lot many brilliant prospects, scopes in the field of law. And if we join law, according to me, there are lot many scopes where you can choose so many options in the career of law. I'll speak more when the next time my turn will come.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yagnik, for bringing forth the concept of virtual court and virtual practice. This is completely a new thing, a new aspect in the new normal. So that was very important addition, and many other points you brought forth. For those who are asking questions, I really am happy that you are finding it enriching session. So many comments have come. It is very enriching, very knowledge, information field and all that. You're asking questions. I'm taking the questions a little while later. There are 3 more speakers to go. Let us hear them one round, and I'll be taking more and more questions. Do not worry. Everyone will be there till the end, and we'll have questions as we go. I have a towering professor coming up now, who has been the Dean of the Law Faculty of Delhi University, one of the oldest and the largest universities of the country. And he has set up a university itself, which was a law university, Himachal Pradesh National Law University in Shimla. Professor Dr. Subhash Chandra Raina. It's an honor, sir, to have you on the show. You have been listening very patiently to your other colleagues so far. If you could also motivate the young people. There are 174 on Zoom, and I'm told it has crossed 600 on Facebook and YouTube together. So what prospects do they see now, sir, in these very challenging times of our moment? Over to Dr. Raina.
Thank you very much, Professor Chaudhary, for inviting me to this forum. I'm equally thankful to the Anand Bazar Patrika. Those of us who have read legal history will not forget as to the role of it in the freedom struggle and others. And this is really a good venture they have taken upon to reach to the young people who are really frustrated after the COVID, particularly people from the legal fraternity. I'll not take much of the time, but thought of going back, but I'll not go too much back. I really agree with Honorable Justice Manju Goyal, whom we really meet in Delhi, but we meet in Zoom meetings. That 30 years before, if somebody would ask a question to a person who is in law as to what is the career from class to career, which you have titled, it would have been funny. People would not know many things, nothing except that it is classroom to courtroom. That was the only barricade. Wear a black coat and teach in the classroom or nothing like that. I'm on 86 onwards. I think basically globalization opened the doors and vistas for the legal profession. And the beginning here came in 86 when the Bar Council of India itself established at the Bangalore National Law University. That was a big shift, which we call as a paradigm shift in the whole legal curriculum and legal education, creating people of various varieties in the legal profession. We were not known at that time that we can create legal minds who can govern corporate areas. But to my utter surprise, that 85 to 90% people who graduate from National Law Universities have joined mostly the corporate sector. So if I go by my students who have passed from National Law Universities for 35 years, I can rule the corporate sector because they are the representatives of the National Law Universities. And but we failed in the system that what we intended to get as litigating lawyers, we could not get the litigating lawyers, nor could we produce the judges, which was actually an interest that we should produce the judges, litigating lawyers. That was a failure, either on our part or on the part of the system, which we tried to operate, or we could not operate it properly. Now, there were many areas opened, I think, from negotiations to arbitration, to a corporate lawyer, to consumer lawyer, which Honorable Solicitor from Gujarat has enlisted from tribunals to other things. That was going on at a very, very good speed, and that was perhaps at the back mind of every law school, that they had a banner of placement cells, whereby they used to promise to the young students that yes, if you do law from this university, placement is assured. Some say 100%, some say 50%, but placements were happening at a speed depending upon their mobility, depending upon their PRs, depending upon their other exercises. I don't say 100% or 20%, but placements were happening. Some of them were automatically, some of them were because of the influence of their parents, some of them were because of the school was effort. And these placements took place all over India, not only in India, but I'm sure that we had in Malaysia people, we had in, I think in Singapore, and we have in America, we have in England, that those who have passed out from this school, if you mean that the present Vice Chancellor of the National University of Bangalore was appointed recently, was at Harvard University. And that was the periphery, that was the area the law actually could cover within a period of 25 to 30 years after coming into the real zoom of it. But what happened with the pandemic, that all became gloomy. The legal field also was not, didn't remain untouched. It was the most, what we say is, when the doors of the justice were closed, you can understand how the justice can be delivered. Supreme Court was closed, all high courts were closed. The lawyers were not allowed to appear in physical presence. And the fact was that we were not prepared to go to the digital process. We were not prepared. The whole nation was not prepared. I for myself, I'm a conservative teacher, was never taught on computer. I also have to make my efforts to come to the expectations of my students. But to be honest, that this was a challenge which we converted into opportunity. And I was feeling as to why I have been called to this forum is because of the fact that the KIIT School of Law, the KIIT University as such, is perhaps the second largest university in this pandemic, which has done all things previously 6 months before on online situation. We completed our examination online. We completed our last semester online. Almost 20,000 people appeared in the KIIT School of KIIT Law University, and all have been provided these degrees. I think Madam from Adamas University was saying about the Delhi High Court issuing directions to Delhi University. We, without directions, Madam, prepared the digital certificates and have been provided to people. I think 30% of my students belong to Kolkata who received the certificates much earlier. They must be in practice or must be self. Today, when I'm talking to you, this is the mid-semester happening at the KIIT University, where it is completely online. I'm not praising KIIT University because I'm a representative. I should say that this is practically happened. All of us, all teachers who are perhaps not able, have learned it. All our students have agreed. We had certain hitches. I don't say that we did everything. We had certain hitches at the beginning, but this semester, all syllabus was completely customized as per the online syllabus. And examination and the question paper was also customized for the online. But what has happened is that the courses which we have opened again, that the ray of hope is that after the COVID, we thought of having a different direction because the diversion is must to be taken. Our students cannot depend only on the corporate sector because corporate has also scummed. The judicial processes, judicial area has also scummed. The litigation in the courts have scummed. I mean, old litigation, whether it is civil, whether it's criminal, whether it's criminalized. But the new thing which has opened is the mediation process. That's why we have added, or perhaps the Bar Council has asked us to add one more course on law and mediation, which is compulsory. I do not know whether other universities have done it. But our university has added one more add-on courses, which is almost a diploma on mediation. So mediation opened a great variety for us. Not only in one mediation, we can have the mediation at the national level, we can have mediation at the international level, we have mediation in contracts, we have mediation and other things. Not only mediation, we can go for negotiations. And we can produce from IPRs the people who do attorneys as such. So I think the gloominess or the sadness or the pessimism, which perhaps was thought by this virus that it can create and make us to bend, we have not bended. We have actually erected again and have erected as fast as we can. And with the options that there are a number of options. Real estate has not gone it. What I mean to say is that the old options remain with a lesser percentage there. Of course, we have reduced them by 20%, but equally for 90% options are new. So added to the old 80% to 90%, we have gained more than 100% options now, which were old. So my students need not be pessimistic in any case. Those young persons who want to join legal profession should join in the open arms because it is a very, very big area. For example, I'll give one example to my youngers. If you join law and you are appointed somewhere as a lawyer, for say in the real estate, you should know the law relating to the acquisition and mergers. Land acquisition, then how company can do it. So you are a lawyer in the real estate, you are a lawyer in the town planning, you are a lawyer in the environment as to what are the processes. So these are the areas. I don't think there's any field where the vice student or a lawyer cannot enter into. COVID has not done any harm. COVID has added to it, if I say from my point of view. So people should not bother that the COVID has made a bend. COVID has given us a large things to do it. COVID has made my students, I am sure about it, to learn new things. We have opened what we call a startups in law. I know people from Gujarat, from Parul University. Two of my students are doing so well in the area of startups. There are many students in Calcutta, and I have given a certificate to him recently that he can start a startup in law itself, or we can be helpful to startups in law. I have created a course in my university, which is law, economics, and startups. The question is that how we frame the courses, how we move the students, and the options are never scanty. I would like to end this.
Thank you.
This देश में गंगा जमुना बहती है, वहाँ options की कमी नहीं हो सकती.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Raina. There is a question Saurav is asking, Saurav Pal. Does KIIT provide diploma in mediation alone? That's the question.
Sir, we have started. We'll do it from the next semester.
Okay. You have really given a very positive force to the whole discussion. I really appreciate the online education, results, and training that you are doing at KIIT. Recently at Lions International 5th of September Teachers Day, I also was a part of the group of 20 who were honored as Sikhak Samman, and Honorable Achyut Samantaji was there as well. He and I had the pleasure of sharing the stage with him virtually, and he was speaking about how the university has faced and combated the pandemic. I really salute the good work being done in Odisha. I have also the joy of telling that in in July second half, our university has conducted the last semester end exams, and August first half, the results are given. It is very important that we live up to the expectation of our youngsters. We prove to be committed and accountable for their future, because without exams and results, they cannot get back to the next step, either higher education or jobs. And it's really appreciable what you are doing. Thank you very much for that. Let me also bring another educationist, now an educationist of repute from Jharkhand, and I had the pleasure of sharing stage with him in another program, another webinar. These days, you make friendship through webinars. You don't meet face to face, so you actually meet online and make friendships. Then many a time these friendships continues through WhatsApp and all that. So Dr. S.P. Agarwal ji, I had met you in another program, which was a Vice Chancellor's panel. There you had also come, and I was moderating, and it was a great pleasure to listen to you that time as well. You are doing a fabulous work in Ranchi, in the tribal belt of India, bringing education to people who need it most. In fact, education is a necessity of all 7.5 billion people, but to bring them to the least privileged people is a great service. Sai Nath University Vice Chancellor Dr. S.P. Agarwal, and you have introduced a 4-year BSc, BEd and BEd MEd course, 3 years integrated. That's a fabulous concept. If you could speak on that, and if you could speak also on what sort of approach, infrastructure, faculty, and these things you have brought in to make these new courses successful. Over to Dr. S.P. Agarwal ji.
Good evening to all of you. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to extend my thanks to ABP and the Telegraph Group for organizing this event. Secondly, I am feeling very much elevated and obliged to be a part and parcel of this program. In fact, I am sharing the dais with the bar and the bench. I am not a law graduate. I am a civil engineering graduate, and but it's a matter of pleasure. I am sharing the dais with the top-notch lawyers and the judges. Basically, if we talk about the law, what I perceive from the law profession is that in India, the #1 income tax payees in the individual capacity are from the lawyer profession. That is the beauty of this profession. And I see a very lot of scope, a very promising career, a very multi-dimensional career in the law field. Because I'm a teacher, so I would like to say that what makes a lawyer, I think there are three factors required to be a lawyer: character, conduct, and the subject knowledge. Basically, character and conduct are necessary. I mean to say the ethics are essentials. Secondly, exhaustive reading is required for a lawyer, because when you are dealing with medical compensation, when you are dealing with sales tax matter, when you are dealing with CNT in the case of Jharkhand, then you must know about the in-depth detail of the medical, or you are dealing with a airline some dispute, then you must know about each and everything of airlines for the compensation, etc. and etc. So the students who are really willing and who really want to study deep in all the segment of the life or the area, they must come, they must be welcome in the field of law. And basically, if you talk about legal study, then it is the soft skill, it is the power of expression, it is the logical thinking. This all comprises under law. As far as Sai Nath University is concerned, we are here in a tribal belt, no doubt, and we are here for providing doorstep quality education. We are also running a law program, 5-year integrated BLLB program, LLB program, duly approved by Bar Council of India. And Sai Nath is the only private university in the Jharkhand having MOU with KIIT for BA LLB program 2020. Now here I am to talk about the top 10 reasons why a student choose law as a career, because I am a very layman in the law field, so I cannot go into the deep of law. Basically, law is a very diverse field and very varied options like judges, advocates, law officers in bank, corporate lawyers, cyber law experts, legal journalists, etc. and etc. Secondly, financial rewards are very much. Growth and opportunities are limitless. Prosperity, prestige, power, and dignity in the society. Diverse practice areas, civil, criminal, corporate, cyber. Global perspective and global exposure when you talk about the international law. Dynamic environment. These are some of the factors why a student choose law as a career. And when we talk about the law as a profession, then we are having n numbers of reputed and famous lawyers like Mr. Hari Salve, Mr. Ram Jethmalani, Mr. Kapil Sibal, Mr. Salman Khurshid. There are n numbers, but we are not that much frequent to tell the top 10 doctors name, top 10 engineers name in India. In fact, we are not able to say top 3 engineers in India. This is the beauty of this profession, that we are having n numbers of learned lawyers, advocates. They are representing our country in international court of justice. They are filing PILs to help the needy and the poor. So in that way, it is a very noble and humble profession. Basically, what I consider is a lawyer is a social scientist, and lawyers are the torch bearers and whistleblowers, basically. There are various areas of specialization in the field of law, which can be, as a layman, I am saying, a civil law, criminal law, corporate law, taxation law, labor law, international law, intellectual property law, cyber and patent, cyber law, patent law, that is IPR, real estate law, that is property law, human right law, constitutional law, family law, administration law, arbitration and mediation, as Sir told in his very beautiful message. I don't want to say it as a speech. It is the message of a learned lawyer and the experienced faculty member who taught basically in the Delhi University. So really it's an honor. Basically, if you talk about advocate, they are the professionals and they are the officers of the court. They play a vital role in the administration of justice. Now I am to say about the careers in law. Basically, I have divided it into 4 categories. Number 1 is the litigation practice, second is the government job, third is the private sector job, and fourth is the academics / research. So if you talk about litigation practice lawyer, by having some years of practice, one can form its own law firm. And if you want to join the politics, then law is the best suited, basically,
Thank you.
education for you. Yeah, yeah. And secondly, as per the Constitution of India, any illiterate or less literate people can be the minister of any department. But if you talk about the law minister, all the law ministers have been an advocate, like Mr. Ram Jethmalani, like Arun Jaitley, like Mr. Ravi Shukla ji. They all are learned lawyers.
Thank you.
So
thank you, sir.
if you want, yeah.
You have given
should I continue, or time is permitting me?
You can come again later. It's already 1 hour gone. We have one more speaker to go.
Yeah.
But you have given a very good,
okay, no problem.
you have given a very good overview of the entire domain. And in fact, you have made the lawyers look almost like film stars or next to film stars, because you have said that people cannot name the top 10 doctors and engineers, but can name the top 10 lawyers in the country. Yes.
Yeah, obviously.
Yes, that's these days, the court and these rulings, and these are very much in news. Thank you very much. Moving on we come to a very interesting domain through the next panelist, and that is every young lawyer, whoever studies, wants to work with a premier law firm. So, personal practice or becoming a judge is one, but a law firm, everyone wants to work or intern to begin with. And we have someone who has co-founded a law firm itself and has made it one of the top law firms in that domain. Aquilaw, co-founder, Madam Sucharita Basu, and it's a full-service law firm which is operating for more than half a decade now. So Madam Basu is an expert in providing legal advice across several sectors. I'm not getting into detail, from real estate to trust to infrastructure, government, everywhere. And it's important that this council is taken into consideration even in government's policy making while they frame policies. There have been many cases what has brought. Thank you, madam, for finding time. I understand those who run law firms are always busy because there is something or the other. Judges and lawyers have some specific times, but law firm owners are always busy. Thank you for providing 2 hours of your time, and for last 1 hour waiting for your turn to speak. Over to you, ma'am. Your suggestions for the young lawyers or law aspirants who are in the audience. What should they be looking at, particularly from the perspective of a leading law firm of the country? Madam Sucharita Basu.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And namaskar, good afternoon. My thanks, of course, to ABP Education and all the supporters and organizers of this session. Am I clearly audible?
Very much audible, very much visible. You can speak bindas.
So, and to all the supporters and organizers of this session, and for inviting me to speak here. So we are in very uncertain times. It is very unnerving to be where we are now. It is also emotionally stressful. We are combating issues of life and livelihood. Of course, the profession of law is also such a livelihood. And I have heard an interesting quote that lawyers can survive wars and epidemics. And I firmly believe that the study, the degree, and the practice of law, it is extremely empowering, if not the most in today's India. So we are students standing at the inception of the career-oriented trajectory, and even professionals, more often than not, they are confronted with the recurring metaphorical, fork in the road, litigation or corporate. My speakers, very learned speakers before me, they have touched upon all these points in great detail. Now, however, the modern day law subjects, they have transcended the idea of a conventional courtroom practice, and they have evolved into a scintillating phase, which is rooted in the contemporaneous socio-economic, political, legal, ecological, and technological developments in the world at large. So along with this conventional law practice areas such as of tax, of corporate, property, infrastructure, are also the emerging new age and evolving law subjects. And this has been catalyzed by the advent of new data-driven technologies spurred by automation and developments in AI, that is artificial intelligence. More law firms are beginning to embrace innovation, and they are making efforts to integrate technology into their practices, exploring exciting new practice areas as prospects are emerging for the tech-savvy innovative lawyer. And I will speak about very briefly about some of the new age areas of law and their collaboration with the traditional law practices in the next round. Some of them have been named already, but I will delve a little bit more into them, so that, you know, the students who have joined over here, they get a fair idea. And of course, on the point of whether to join the profession as a counsel or whether to join a law firm, it is a choice which they will have to make at some point of time. But, you know, practically speaking, I have realized from my experience is to be a holistic lawyer, one has to spend, or one should ideally spend, at least couple of years in their in the beginning of their career doing a little bit of litigation practice, which is court practice, be it directly in the courts as counsel or as juniors in law firms. So in our law firm, for instance, in many law firms now, what they do is the younger students, the freshers who join, they're actually made to rotate in the several practice areas, or how many ever practice areas that law firm will have, litigation practice being definitely one of them, for them to actually identify their area of interest. Because when they're interning just for a month or 3 weeks, so it's not possible for them to identify then and there. For many of them are very clear, of course. For most of them, so when this rotation is done in the several practice areas that are there in the law firms for 6 months, 7 months each, generally it is an 18-month stint. And then they sort of realize that, okay, this is what I want to do, this is where my knack lies, be it corporate or capital markets or litigation or infra policy. So that's when they get to decide. So I'll speak more on it. I can keep speaking about it, but perhaps in the next round. Thank you so much.
I really like this aspect that you brought, new age law careers. New age means it has something to do with the last 5 years and the emerging technologies, emerging focus areas like consulting law, I mean the government consultancy as well, or counseling the government as well. So these are very important things. Can you spend the next 3-4 minutes to mention a few of them, and we can get back to questions.
I will tell you from my experience. You know, right. I have spent about 20 years in a law firm before I made Aquilaw, and I started working also very young. So in that law firm, we did not do government practice. So let me pick up government practice as an example, because law is a very vast subject. And in my law firm, in Aquilaw, law firms are made of the lawyers, right? So we are a new law firm, so we have been made by lawyers who have spent about 10 years, 15 years in other law firms or own practices, and they brought their practices into our law firm. So it's a boiling pot of cultures and of knowledge. So 2 of my partners had done in Aquilaw, they had done a government practice before, and we started this government practice in Aquilaw. So today we have the government of West Bengal, many of its parastatals as our clients. And one of the most important areas where we advise them is policy making. You know, so policy making has become such an important, or policy design, policy delivery, it has become such an important aspect now, especially in India. Considering that, and especially, why only in India, all over the world, and considering the COVID times and beyond that, where the world has been turned upside down, there'll be so many new policies which will be coming up to tackle this. And in fact, I am also personally taking a course with the Harvard Kennedy School now on policy design and delivery, because I wanted to go through a structured course to understand policy design and delivery better. And like you said, lawyers don't get sleep in law firm. As it is, there's been so much work and so many things happening. It is all the more difficult to manage online. I've spent only 2 hours sleeping last night because I had to submit my assignment and to, you know, sort of get to their time zone. So it's about upskilling. It's about continuous upskilling. Lawyers never stop learning. One can always evolve. So my desire is actually to evolve this policy practice very in a structured manner in Aquilaw, and which is why I'm trying to upskill myself. And sooner than later, I will perhaps encourage my colleagues also to do the same, so that we can make a good team to deliver this advice to the government and the government parastatals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a special focus on government law, or government rather, policy making counseling. We'll come to other areas you can take up. You have very rightly used the concept of artificial intelligence in the law context, which is very interesting. We'll come back to that. Let me take questions at random from the audience now. There have been several questions that have been asked. Okay. I want to study 3L because there's a problem. I think this has been already answered, that 3 years LLB course after MSc. No problem, Kaushik Aich, you can still study, you can surely study, but not all universities in the country have these 3 years legal degree. So largely 5 years now, but you can find a few surely here. Okay, let me, there is one question from Saurabh Pal. Madam, is there any criterion for a law graduate to get into a law firm, or how can a law graduate get into a law firm? Same thing. I think Sucharita ma'am can take this up again. So how does a fresh law graduate get inside to work with the law?
Professor Chaudhary, just for the information of the candidate who are seeking 3 years law course,
right.
Delhi University is still keeping 3 years law course.
Right.
It has never shifted to 5-year law course.
Right.
Symbiosis has started operating 3-year law course for the last 3 years. These are the two well-known universities which you can suggest to the candidate.
Right, surely. Thank you for the addition, sir. So yes, Sucharita ma'am, on this issue.
Yes. So I think in addition to what sir just said, even Jindal Global Law School has a 3-year law course. Even over here, but one university has. So people who, I know a lot of people who are working and they want to still pursue law. Right. They can use this Badwan University course as well. So anyway, that is one fact of the matter. Now, secondly, to come to his question, how to apply or how to get into law firms. Obviously, as my speakers before have mentioned, that there are university placements nowadays. But of course, all university students, they can't be placed. Now, there are so many lawyers, now so many freshers coming out of the law schools. And one method is, of course, to apply to law firms. Another is to do internships there, so that you get, if you are noticed and if you do really well, then we generally give PPOs. We do, and I've got some very good talents through the PPO method as well.
I hope everyone understands pre-placement offer, PPO.
Yes, so if you're doing internships, and then what happens in that internship, I think it should be taken in the final year, because before that, if you're really serious about joining a particular law firm, you should reserve it for the final year, for the so that you are noticed, you have enough knowledge of the legal subjects. Otherwise, I have interns who come to me in the first year, second year, and they are often forgotten, by the time they come to their final year. And so best to keep it reserved for the final year if you really want to join a particular law firm by then. And first and second year in a 5-year law course, it is generally, at least that's what I have studied, and I think it is still like that. It is generally the non-legal subjects, the more foundational subjects.
Right.
And that evolves later from the 3rd year. So if you're doing an internship in the first and second year with the purpose in mind that I'm going to join this law firm, then you'll not be able to show as much capability as you can if you, come a little later. Right. So of course that is one. And another thing which I have noticed is a lot of lawyers, like I said, how important it is to do a little bit of litigation practice, have exposure to courts. A lot of lawyers, even in our law firm, a lot of lawyers who have, had a couple of years of court practice, we have recruited them for our litigation practice. And our litigation practice is quite broad. We have criminal, we have all courts, we have different kind of fora, starting from the lower court to the Supreme Court, and we have NCLT. So we have fitted them there because they had previous litigation experience. So just because just after you're graduating, you're not getting into a law firm or you're not getting the chance, that's definitely not the end of the world. In fact, that many times assumes to be a blessing in disguise.
Right. I really corroborate to this that you should practice before getting into a law firm, and practice in a certain sphere so that the law firm can assess your capabilities and interest areas before taking in. This question Angelina is asking, I can myself answer. If I study BBA LLB, can I work in a corporate office or do I do a private practice? It is completely up to you. You can be a junior to a senior lawyer, corporate lawyer, and do practice as well. Initially, obviously, just passing out, immediately after passing out, there may not be a major practice role, but you can be a junior or you can join a corporate office, either of the two, but not both at the same time. So we move further. Saurabh is also asking, okay, that is already done. Just a minute, let me go further. So many good mornings and good afternoons that you get time to get the question actually. So yes, as an independent lawyer, there must have been drawbacks to income due to COVID. I would request you to throw some light how independent lawyers are surviving in this period. Pramugdha Day, I think this is a very touchy issue, no doubt about it. Jani Saab, Sri Paresh or Jani Ji, if you could throw some light on this. You have many youngsters around you, many juniors whom you are seeing, or many former juniors who have become independent lawyers. You could speak on that. Mr. Jani, please.
So far as lawyers having experience of about 5 years or more, for them there is no difficulty. They have survived and they have also started earning now, since last about 15 days, 20 days, 1 month. But those lawyers who are not having practice of more than 5 years, means less than 5 years, they are of course having too much difficulty. And we normally request the seniors to help the junior lawyers. That is one thing. So far as I am concerned, I am also from City Civil Court of Ahmedabad. I am president just now. And we have distributed 5,000 rupees to all junior lawyers, to about not less than about 200, 300 lawyers. I am also member of the Bar Council of Gujarat, and so far as Bar Council of Gujarat is concerned, there also we have distributed about rupees 5 crores, 7 crores to all junior lawyers of Gujarat. Therefore, this is the way. Actually, we have also distributed kits of wheats and rice, etc., oil also to junior lawyers. We are trying to help them, but then ultimately government should come forward to help all these junior lawyers. And so I am very happy to state that Gujarat government has, so far as that Atma Nirbhar Yojana is concerned, wherein the banks are giving loan up to rupees 2.5 lakhs. Gujarat government has yesterday also added the category of lawyers, that all lawyers also can get the loan of up to rupees 2.5 lakhs to the junior lawyers also.
Great.
So very good.
Great, great. That's really good to know. This is something which was very necessary, very important indeed.
And the rate of interest is only 2%.
Yeah, that's very even better. Yeah, great. Aditya Paul is asking, my question is to Dr. Jyotsna Yagnik. Kindly elucidate on the scope of administrative law. Administrative law. No, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry. I would say that administrative law is a salt in any food. If you want to eat any spicy food, salt is so important. Like that, administrative law is though not codified, it is very, very important law. It is on principles of natural justice, which is very useful for every administrative action, executive actions. Whenever any writ petition is filed, it is being assessed and examined and adjudicated whether there was no violation of principles of natural justice. So that is a very, very important component. Not only that, but a tribunal, which has been referred before by the co-speaker, Mr. Jani, that tribunal, it's working, everything is there in administrative law. Thirdly, that wherever Indian Evidence Act or Civil Procedure Code are not strictly applicable, these administrative law principles are very much applicable, including the disciplinary proceedings which has to be initiated against the wrongdoer in any sort of employment. So there are many areas where administrative law is touching, and there is no university in India which has not included administrative law in its syllabus. So you can understand the importance of it. That's very important subject.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yagnik. Honorable Justice Manjuji, you were speaking about adjudication earlier, and you were trying to also bring how adjudication capability can be developed. So there are many people who would like to be not practicing, not on at the bar level, and many would not be also wanting to be a professional in a corporate. They might be interested directly to become a judge. How do they prepare themselves even from the college itself earlier? How should adjudication be taught, be training of adjudication be done? Unmute yourself, ma'am, unmute yourself and speak. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Right.
Now, the workshop is going in a way very different from what I expected it to be. But now that it is almost a career counseling kind of a workshop, let me tell my students that if you want to join the judiciary, there are 2 or 3 options. The first, of course, is to appear in a competitive examination, which everybody knows about, and all states are holding these exams. And once you qualify in these exams, you get into the judicial service, and then you are trained. This 1-year training is extremely empowering, extremely valuable. It changes the person from an ordinary person into an efficient judge. So this training, some states give one year, and some states give more than 1 year training to every new entrant in the judiciary. And that, of course, puts them on a very good footing for the rest of their career. The other way of joining judiciary is in later years. So after you have done several years of practice, you may join judiciary at a higher level, again through a competitive examination. And maybe if you are outstanding, after you have reached nearly 45 years, 40 years, 50 years, even more, you can be handpicked to be a High Court judge or even a Supreme Court judge. So, but then there are various types of, courts which have been shown by, I believe Mr. Jani showed that huge flow chart in which he showed many various kinds of courts. So some courts are fed by judicial services. And some courts are fed by other people. For example, for some time, I was in the appellate tribunal for electricity. Now, that tribunal dealt with the, disputes between distributors and producers of electricity, very different type of disputes they had. And although I am from judiciary, the other member on the bench was simply an engineer. He was not at all law graduate, but then he had to become a judge with me because the disputes involve both kinds of things. Now, it is not that you know from the very beginning after you are born whether you have power of adjudication. This is something that you have to acquire. You acquire over time. You acquire with experience and you acquire with training. So once you decide to do this job, then I don't think there should be any fear that I am not the person who can adjudicate. Everybody can adjudicate, only one has to decide whether to join this job or be on the other side of the bench where people are arguing before you. So there are 2 different fields. Is it all right? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. I think Professor Chaudhary has got disconnected for some reason.
Disconnected, it seems.
Yes.
Seems it is disconnected.
So you can continue on the question.
Non-legal background person.
I think we had lost. Yes, ma'am. Justice Manju Goyalji.
Carry on a few things. You know, for example, a family court judge. The family courts are usually fed by the judicial service. So once you have joined the judicial service, you can someday find yourself in the family court as a family court judge. Someday you can find yourself as a labor court judge. So deciding labor management disputes. Someday you can find yourself in control court. So deciding the cases there. Someday you can also be seen as doing administrative law. So all kinds of cases may come to you,
Right.
depending on where you are assigned.
Yeah, kindly put the phone on mute for others, because there will be disturbance otherwise. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. We'll come back again. There is this question. Yes, Tanmay Paul is asking. I think Paresh Jani ji can please answer this. Kindly elucidate the process of enlistment of advocate after attaining the law degree, after 3 or 5 years, whatever is the course, which would enable one to practice before any honorable court.
Can you please repeat it? Can you please repeat?
How to start practicing after the degree is over? What should be done to start practicing?
How to get sanad is a question.
Yeah, sanad. How to get sanad, right?
Sanad, one has to apply to the Bar Council of the concerned state along with the degree certificate of law, as well as degree certificate of graduation, first graduation. Bar Council of that state examines whether the degree which was obtained was a regular degree or it was only a fake university degree. They are examining that thing.
Right.
And thereafter, if it is everything is regular, then they give the sanad. There is also another thing that there are many law colleges in the district place which give admission in the law college even if the person has not secured 45% of mark at the first graduation level. Now 45% is the main thing. Every candidate must have secured 45% of marks at the BA or BCom or BSc degree. Therefore, if the student with less marks are given admission in the law college, then also Bar Council refuses to give the admission. Otherwise, it is very simple. You have to pay the fees of the Bar Council. You must have 2 or 3 lawyers' certificate that he is a good person, and the Bar Council gives him sanad. He has also to appear in the examination of Bar Council of India, which is conducted by Bar Council of India. Every 6 months, Bar Council of India conducts the examination. And if you pass that examination, then sanad will be issued. But even before that examination results come, the Bar Council gives the small certificate. And on the basis of that small certificate, the lawyer can start his practice. There is no problem.
Great. Thank you. Very detailed answer. There is one more question, Paresh ji. This is from Tonye Jaja. And the person is asking, a career as legislative drafting lawyer. What is that? What can be the career as a legislative drafting lawyer?
Very well. Legislative drafting, I have never studied, very frankly speaking.
Okay.
But what I understand, my general knowledge says that has to draft the legislations, maybe a state legislation or a central government legislation. Therefore, he should be good at drafting of legislation. And every good draftsman can draft a legislation. There should not be any problem. I don't think that there is any special degree or even diploma for this kind of drafting.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Raina, would you like to add?
I will just add.
Yes.
I think, sir, he should hold a degree of law, and then there is a central government legislative department, which is in the secretariat itself. They hold an examination for this legislative drafting. It's a separate wing completely of the legislative drafting, dealing with all legislation of the central government. And
Okay.
people right from the legislative drafters can become the secretaries of the law. This is with the government of India. Same will be
Okay.
true about the states also. He has to appear in examination and give a choice for that examination, but should hold a degree of law.
Great, thank you. That's a very detailed and clear answer. Thank you. Now that you are already on, Dr. Rana, there's another question. Madam Rita Dasgupta is asking, law degree along with company secretary course, does it help?
Of course, earlier it was almost that you could carry law and company secretaries together. Hardly 5-7 years before, it was separated that anybody who is carrying law as a full-time job will not carry the company's secretaries. Now it is separate. But how it helps is that if you do company secretaries after the law or vice versa, you are acquainted with certain basic papers of either of them. For example, company law, partnerships, other things, mergers, acquisitions. So you get rid of them. Or if you are a company secretary, you can get rid of some papers in law. So you get less burden in law or less burden in company secretaries. It's a supplement and complementary to some extent. That is how it helps. Otherwise, they are now separate degrees. You have to do company secretary separately and law separately.
Thank you for that answer. Very detailed answer again. Yes, Samriddha, you are asking that you are a student of class 12. I'm a student of science stream. Can I offer law? Yes, you can. You'll have to clear the admission process. It's not that you have to come from only arts or commerce or any specific field. There is BSc LLB, for example, even in Josna Madam's department, there is BSc LLB, which is purely for science students, you know, who come after class 12. Josna ma'am, can you speak about BSc LLB, please?
Yes, in BSc LLB, if the person has taken science stream in the 12th standard, it will be very easy for that person. And all the subjects which were coming in science, more or less, those are the subjects which will be taught for the first 3 years. And the last 2 years, only law subjects will be taught. So in the beginning, for the first 3 years, the stream subjects, which are in case of BSc LLB, subject of science and laws, those are being imparted training for, or the education. And the last 2 years are such where only law subjects are being taught. That's the way how the division is made.
Right. And Pramugdha De, I'll very clearly and quickly tell, there is no ideal stream to take in class 11, 12 for pursuing law. You can be in humanities, science, commerce, any field, and you can come into law. There's BA LLB, BSc LLB, BBA LLB, BCom LLB, different colleges have combination of any of these. So that's for you.
CBSE has added a new course
Right.
of legal studies.
Okay.
At the course of the BA, if anybody is interested to go for law, after the 10th or 12th, for 10 and 12, he can opt for legal studies as a course.
So a course in the school level itself.
Yeah,
that is the
it's
beauty.
a course at school level.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
a course
you.
at school level.
Sucharita ma'am, could you take this question? The next question from Sagar De. He is studying B Pharm and he wants to come into a career of law. How does he blend a pharmacy degree at bachelor's with a career in law? Sagar De's question. And Sucharita ma'am, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
So you know what? Actually, pharmacy, this particular sector, it is one of the brightest sectors now during COVID and beyond.
Right.
So actually, you are in a very good position if you're already studying B Pharm, and there are pharmacy laws also, which are very specific to practice by a pharmacy lawyer. So what you can definitely pursue those. I'm sure we have representatives of so many good universities over here, and they will also be having some specific course for pharmacy law. And if not, you can do a 3-year course post-graduation, post your 3-year graduation, which you're doing now, and then do a specialized pharmacy law course. So that will definitely equip you with the right set of legal knowledge, at least, to come to the pharmacy sector. Now, how you, so law is all about application, and it's definitely about learning, but learning till the college level, and it is definitely more about application. So then comes your application in your own field, and if you're equipped with the basic knowledge, then I'm sure you can do very well in this sector. And please
Great.
do pursue it. That's my advice.
Very good. Thank you. That's really encouraging for someone who is into pharmacy, particularly in post-COVID period. It is going to be a major career. And in the same spirit, ma'am, the next focus area, this one was on pharmacy. Akshita Chetri is asking about international law. She wants to get into international law and practice as an international lawyer after BA LLB. What is the process of proceeding?
So, you know, international law, of course, the universities here and many others, they must be having a post-graduation course in international law. That is also very, very important because of the different kind of trade relationships that we have now, and so many things, globalization movement happening, anti-globalization movement happening. So this is a very critical area. In fact, I am also connected with a consulting firm which does only global value chain planning. So in that, our global production network planning. So that's the theme of that consulting firm. And Aquilaw collaborates with them on advisory for international law.
Okay.
You know, so we examine the free trade agreements, we examine the other kind of agreements that these two countries have, the taxation, double taxation avoidance agreements, and these all fall within the bigger umbrella of international law. So it is definitely it is never going to go out of practice. It is always going to evolve from where it is, and you will not be a brick in the wall just practicing a straight jacket corporate law or a capital market, which can sometimes become a little boring also. They are very highly fee earning practice areas, but international law can definitely give you a global exposure. And if you can afford to or manage to get an international degree on this particular subject, then the sky is the limit for you.
Wow. That's also very encouraging.
May I add
indeed.
small addition? I hope it is not intervention.
No,
it's just knowledge to the student. We in KIIT School of Law hold honors degree in international law. Our all LLB courses are honors courses. There are 8 honors courses which are all LLB honors courses, and one of them is the international honors course. Then we go for masters in international law, right? And anybody can join the United Nations, any organizations, maybe the World Aid or the World Bank or something else, or there can be many more things which he can join, as the madam was saying. If he's interested, can go to some other university, do some other degrees in the security areas or in some other areas. Jawaharlal Nehru University has a separate department, masters in international studies as such, and that is equivalent to our LLM. They also get into teaching. International law has now a broader scope because of the fact that globally we are one. Therefore, if the international firms are allowed to come to India, hopefully within the next 6 months, these people will have a good say, and this will be a good process of lawyering.
Great, that's encouraging. Dr. Yagnik, I believe you have a master's in international law at Adamas, right? Do you?
Masters and even UG program, honors in international law.
Okay,
honors in international law as well as LLM in international.
So anyone doing a BLLB can take an honors in international law, right?
Definitely.
Right, great. That's a great addition. Great scope for those who are interested. Akshata, I think, has asked. So Diptaraj Sarkar from Ranaghat, Nadia, you are asking which are the best law institutes after graduation and cost and government subsidy. That means you want cheap and the best. I'm sorry, it never is like that. If you want the cheapest and the best, it doesn't. Sasta Sundar Tikau is not a concept here. By the way, there are many. ये perception की बात है.
No. Honestly, economically speaking, sir.
बोलिए.
I do not know whether he wants to go for 3 years. If he wants to go 3 years, I think Honorable Manju Goyal will agree with me. Delhi University is having settled the fees as 25 rupees per month. 25 rupees per month, and the degree is from Delhi University.
Anyway, I would not get into that discussion.
I'm only giving you the information.
I know,
whether it is good or bad.
He's wanting for West Bengal, Dr. Raina. He's wanting for West Bengal. So West Bengal, Calcutta University has, Kalyani University has law degrees. Bardhaman University has a very good law degree, which Sucharita Madam has already told. In the private sector, Amity University has, Adamas University has, JIS has, Sister Nivedita has. So many are there. You have to actually go and see who have moot courts, who have what sort of teachers, what is the course detail, pricing, everything you have to check. There are many actually. There is the, otherwise, if you're talking of West Bengal, or in fact, in general, best, calling best and then calling cheapest is something like a misnomer. Anyway, Daita Datta has a question, and this I can request Madam Justice Manju Goyalji to answer. She's thanking everyone for an enriching session, and she's asking, is it possible to study judiciary while studying BA LLB, and how? From which semester should we start, and how to balance both? What's the procedure of self-studying for judiciary? Over to Justice Manjuji. Manjuji, are you there?
Unmute, ma'am.
Unmute. Daita is also adding how to balance IPC and CRPC in a single semester. Is it really possible? So these are the two things. Unmute, ma'am, and speak.
Yeah, what did you say? IPC and CRPC?
She said how to balance IPC and CRPC. That's one. The other is it possible to study for judiciary while studying BA LLB, and how?
Absolutely. You see, there is absolutely no conflict between IPC and CRPC. IPC gives you the different types of offenses that are recognized in that act, and the definition of those offenses and punishment for those offenses. And CRPC tells you how to go about criminal trial. So there is absolutely no conflict, and why do you have to think about balancing the two? They go together.
Yeah.
So far as studying for judiciary is concerned, you can study at any time during your, that is the best period when you are doing your LLB course. To study for the competitive examination is the best time. When your teachers are around, your books are there, you are in the very midst of that subject, deeply involved into it. That is when you learn things faster. And if you see the pattern of examination, you find out what kind of aptitude you need to develop in answering those questions. That is the best time, because if you don't study then you have to lose a year after you have done your LLB. Then you sit down and prepare for. So the best thing is to do your study while you are doing your LLB, so that the moment you are eligible to appear in the competitive examination, you are there.
Right. Thank you. Mausam Rahman from interior of Bengal, from Basirat, is asking an interesting thing. I think Dr. Yagnik can have a look at that. She wants to explore law by staying at her place. Her question is that, how will I make myself versatile to be a good lawyer in the subdivisional court? Very often I hear that some lawyers in the court that women should study law for marriage purpose only. I want to prove them wrong. Another thing I want to ask, can I pursue further study in law simultaneously along with practicing? So over to Dr. Yagnik. Basirat is only some 15 kilometers from where you are just now.
Yes, you can study while be at your home also. And there are universities like Adamas, which are residential university, where there are very good hostels. But still, however, if you want to be at your home and study, you can also do that. And that is misnomer, absolutely. Coincidentally, Madam Justice Manju Goyal is a lady, I am lady, so both of us, we were in judiciary. Of course, ma'am was High Court judge and I was a district judge. But so it is wrong or incorrect notion to state that women should study law only for marriages. Women have proved to be very good judges and very good lawyers, of course. No question of comparison, but just like that, I am telling you. So there are lot many hopes for women in general. Women have also proved to be an excellent lawyer, and fabulous arguments have been put forth by them. So they have equal capacity, and in true spirit, Article 14 is applicable, that equality is available to both man and woman, and there is no pressure of sex.
Yes.
Nothing to bother, and there is no fear, absolutely.
Mausam, I'm suggesting you you take a vehicle, bus, whatever, and travel 15 kilometers and come to Adamas campus and meet Jyotsna madam and have a chat. What's problem she might have had when she was your age, while becoming a lawyer? What must have been the societal conditions, pressures? Did the people around her tell, okay, you are studying law, is that for marriage or for practice? You can come and talk to her and get inspired. Sucharita ma'am, would you like to speak anything on this?
I just want to add one line to this,
Right.
what you said, that this type of mentoring, it is absolutely priceless.
Right. I appreciate very much.
It is
because,
absolutely priceless.
right,
I mean,
right.
every student should, this is in fact something which, law is again a profession of mentor and mentee.
Right.
We have all been mentored by seniors. We have all learned from our seniors. Even if you are earning 2 rupees now, that credit goes to that lady or that gentleman. So,
and Sucharita ma'am, you are exactly doing the same thing just now. You all are actually doing the same thing.
I'm, which is why I have, it is in my fiber and my DNA that I'm not going to ever say no to any student or young lawyer who wants to talk to me.
Very nice, very nice, very well said.
Madam is also illustration for that.
Right, exactly. So all of you, all 5 of you are actually speaking to youngsters exactly in a form of, and ABP has given this platform within 120 minutes to bring a lot of mentoring, because many students may not know whom to go to, and they may not get, students in Bengal may not ever get to speak to Manju ma'am or Paresh bhai, they are so far away also in a distant place, or Subhash ji. So it's also a reason, to bring this whole thing together. Thank you. Okay, there is this question. Is there any difference between only LLB and BLLB degree in case of court practice? Anyone could take this in case of court practice? Paresh ji or maybe Jyotsna ma'am, anyone?
Yes. BA LLB and simply degree of LLB. There cannot be simply degree of LLB. For doing 3 years LLB course, one has to be graduate. So nobody can be simply LLB. One can be BA LLB, BCom LLB. Some prefix has to be there. You do it 3 years course or 5 years course. Doesn't, irrespective of the tenure or duration of your course, there has to be prefix. So I would say that.
So there is no difference, and you have to be a graduate.
Yes.
Other graduate.
2 years or 3 years, when you go to court, you are simply a learned advocate.
That's
and nobody is going to ask whether you have done it 5 years or 3 years.
Yeah. Subhash Chandra ji, Dr. Raina, if you could speak on, Dr. Piali Ghosh is asking, is there any extra mileage after getting chance in NLU? Because you have set up one of the NLUs in the country. Does an NLU offer a better positioning as a lawyer or a judge?
No, not at all, except as a good researcher.
Good researcher. Okay, that's good.
No difference as a lawyer, but as a researcher, they learn better techniques of research and analysis.
Okay.
That may be the reason that they are self-financed and the library position is very good as compared to state universities or conservative universities.
Yes. Library and the assets are very good.
Yeah.
Today there are a lot of digital libraries also.
Yeah, I think the Gundol Jalobal, if you enter into the library, you'll find it is an open hall. You ask anybody, where is the library? They will say, sir, that is the switch where you can just plug on
and you'll get the library.
See the whole library, which is in America.
So let's also for a while talk about infrastructure required for a good law college. Dr. S.P. Agarwal, though you are not a lawyer, you are a vice chancellor and you have set up a good law department at Sai University. Could you speak about the infrastructure that you have there? And then we can ask others as well.
Basically, the classrooms are the basic necessities. Suppose you are running or anyone is running BLLB program. The college or the university is requiring at least 5 lecture rooms, 1 moot court, auditorium room, seminar hall, staff room, boys and girls separate room, medical aid room, separate washrooms for boys and girls, and basically HOD room, principal rooms. I think this is the basic infrastructure which is required. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. This is the basic infrastructure, and then there are separate rooms for different activities of the student, for their maybe for their GD, for their another kind of preparation. Training and placement cell is also there for the student grooming. So these depend, because we are the university, we are having some registrar, assistant registrar, deputy registrar rooms, some maintenance rooms. So there are n number of
Thank you.
rooms. Yeah.
Appreciate that you could manage to create an elaborate infrastructure at Jharkhand and provide quality education to the youngsters of the state. Thank you very much. Dr. Yagnik, would you like to throw light more on the infrastructure that you might be having at your place in addition to what has been told?
Infrastructure, we have, first of all, we have a concept of pan university. There are many schools and so many schools on different area. More particularly, we have minor and major subjects. So the students who are taking admission are having the benefits of taking minor of any other school which is there, and moot courts are there. Moot courts are continuously ongoing on every subject it is there. And we have also a special auditorium, a large one, specially kept only for law school. So there are many things by which we are continuously imparting clinical education to the student. As I have told you earlier, fortunately for us, we have about 6% from the legal profession, exclusively from practice and exclusively from judgeship. So that benefit goes to the students.
Thank you. And the last word from Dr. Raina, who had headed the Himachal NLU, the Delhi University, and now KIIT in legal. So what infrastructure would you suggest, Dr. Raina?
There are two types of infrastructures. One infrastructure which is mandatory by the Bar Council, which my counterpart, Mr. Vice Chancellor from the Jharkhand was speaking. 27,000 square feet of land, one moot court, so 5 rooms for the first 2 years. This is not an attraction for the students for the infrastructure. Infrastructure for the students mean 3 things: the faculty, the curriculum, and the placement. If these 3 things exist, the law school is the best. The faculty should exist of a standard faculty, well-read, well-qualified, gone through a mill to get appointment. The school should have a good library so that the students get benefited. And then the TRP depends on the school on the, as the students assess it, on the basis of their placements. When it's a residential university, of course, the hostels should be good hostels, air conditioned. Of course, now all private universities are air conditioned. Any classroom which is air conditioned classroom, teaching is air conditioned.
Right.
They pay for that. That's an infrastructure for their company. But academic infrastructure means these 3 things in addition to what the Bar Council says. Moot court, of course, is a compulsion by the Bar Council that we have to create. But creating moot court and then having moots is very important.
Right.
How many moots you have and how many national moots you have your own, how many moots you win, how many debates you hold is the infrastructure basic.
I really appreciate. Thank you. In fact, I would like to mention here during this COVID, the first online moot court with 127 institutes participating was organized by Dr. Jyotsna Yagnik, and I had participated in the last closing session. I was impressed to see winners from Pune, Ahmedabad, Bombay, other states for a moot contest organized by a Calcutta university. I mean, Adamas University is based out of Calcutta. It was interesting. Dr. Raina, also please could you tell this? Babru Bahan Bera, perhaps from Odisha only, is asking, I have a question. Can anyone pursue PhD without having honors degree in law, only just BLLB degree, without an honors?
Yes, sir, no problem.
But LLM is required, right?
LLM is required. Yes.
LLM is required.
For PhD, LLM is required. Whether it is LLB or LLB honors, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Thank you.
Honors is a crown we give when they have 8 more subjects.
Right.
Those who have less than 8 subjects, we give them LLB.
So thank you. That's a very good point. And yes. Oh, sorry. Bera, you are from Calcutta. Right. Thank you. I wrongly said Odisha. and you have
No problem.
corrected immediately. Thank you. Sushmita Dhar has rightly informed B Pharma candidate can take IPR practice, especially
Yeah.
patent agent. Very, very good suggestion.
Sure,
So,
sure.
see, our audience is also erudite, you know, they are also answering things at the same time. As someone is asking, someone is also answering. That's quite good,
They're
interesting.
qualified, well read.
Quite qualified, right? Okay, Sucharita ma'am, could you take this up? Ananya Chakravarti is asking, would you like to knock upon the subfields and scopes of cyber law, particularly in these times post-pandemic? Cyber law and its scopes.
So I have, wanted to discuss this actually.
Right.
And I have some small points on. I don't know whether it actually fits into the bracket of cyber law, but there are many new AI-driven and data privacy laws which have sort of which will become very, very popular and very, very important. So I can speak about them for some time.
Yeah, you please take time and speak.
So the first one is, of course, data protection and privacy. And so data protection and privacy issues, they have a major impact on all businesses and industry sectors across the globe. Failure to respect individual privacy, including their confidential and sensitive data, or inability to ensure the security of one's own data, it can obviously severely damage a company and influence major decisions adversely. So with India being at the cusp of adopting a comprehensive data privacy regime, and regulators across the globe, they are taking cognizance of the vitality of protecting personal information in digital world. So there's an emerging demand for privacy lawyers. So India obviously has been discussing data privacy for a very long time now with the Puttaswamy judgment, and now the Puttaswamy judgment has gradually started. The data protection bill is also present, but it's just a matter of time that it becomes an act. So these privacy lawyers, data privacy lawyers, will become very important. In fact, in our law firm also, we have started the practice of data protection. So not only law firms, private
is the data sovereignty a reality in today's world? Because of so much of through social media and through government surveillance and through many other apps and all that,
yes,
the private lives of people are so open, and Sushant case is also exposing that once again. So
correct.
I'm talking from a private individual point of view. I know your data privacy can be from many institutional or organizational also. So, and from a country point of view also, is data sovereignty in the era of satellite and IT revolution a reality? Can it be really done?
It should be done.
Okay. Okay.
And I think Sushant's case is more about the media,
right,
and than anything else. So like if I come back to this, so obviously a profound knowledge of the data privacy laws, EU GDPR, which is the European Union General Data Protection Regulation, which is European Union has already adopted it, and there are other global privacy laws. So again, data privacy practice is going to be a new law practice area, and which will be a global practice area. It will not be restricted to just Bengal or Maharashtra or India.
Okay.
The other, of course, is artificial intelligence and combination of it with law. So a growing area of smart objects is developing at our homes, our workplaces, our communities. AI is being increasingly used across all sectors in the globe. And what will be required is this unprecedented and ever increasing application of, AI. It will create a unique demand for engaging in all the legal concerns around it, including the legal personality of AI. Right. So developing an ethical framework for the development of artificial intelligence, etc., will become gradually very, very critical. Right. And even in our traditional law practice, for instance, environmental law, so there's a rising awareness of environmental issues such as clean technology, renewable energy, managing carbon assets, keeping greenhouse gas inventories. These have all created new kind of work for the environmental law attorneys. So as going green, it becomes a global priority. Lawyers who can advise clients on green initiatives, sustainability issues. Experts predict that greenhouse gas, climate change, global warming, and environmental legislation, all this is going to become very, very important going forward. So these are very small examples of how the traditional practices also will gradually need to adapt and emerge with the new laws. So there are many examples. There's space law. There is a new branch of, machine-related dispute resolution. Then there is this evidence law. There will be something on legal forensics, which is will be
forensics.
discovery. It's going to be an offshoot of evidence law. So I mean, I can keep discussing about this for many hours. And in fact, the younger lawyers in my law firm, they do a lot of R&D around it. And credit goes to them for sort of establishing a couple of new practice areas in tandem with our traditional practice areas. But yeah, having said all of this, I strongly feel that a sole learning or expertise of any one of these new age laws will not help. Students will have to equip themselves, arm themselves with the knowledge and practice of conventional laws foremost: constitution, contract, corporate laws, civil, criminal, property, international law, and of course jurisprudence and equity, and have the basic foundational legal subject. So a very smart lawyer, they will apply the new age lawyers to the existing conventional practices. They will create new age practice areas which are modern yet rooted in tradition, so that they can never go wrong actually.
Wow, that's really a very futuristic perspective that has been given. I think those who are still now 142 on Zoom and maybe around 350 on the other platforms. So these 500 are still lucky that the discussion is still on. We are 2 hours already done, and the quality of the discussion is still at the same peak. And there are so many questions, but we have to somewhere finish, no doubt. Surobita Vishwas is asking, can you please throw some information on Lok Adalat? Because this is something that I would like to be associated with in my life. Honorable Justice Manjuji, if you can please speak about Lok Adalat aspect. There has been a huge movement on Lok Adalat. Unmute yourself, ma'am.
You see, I said the duty of the judge is to adjudicate. So the judge takes evidence and evaluates evidence and comes to a finding of fact and then applies law and finds out the relief. Now, Lok Adalat is something between adjudication and what we call early neutral evaluation. Now, this is a situation where the Lok Adalat evaluates the case on the basis of whatever is available on record without taking the evidence of witnesses or without asking the parties to prove their documents. So on the face, prima facie, the Lok Adalat judge assesses the case. So there is an early neutral evaluation of the case, and the Lok Adalat judge then forms an opinion as to what should be the relief. Now, Lok Adalats are generally held for compensation cases. So supposing there is a motor accident and the victim has to get compensation, live or injured, maybe dead or injured, whoever. Now the compensation has to be decided on the basis of set principles, set formulae, and then the Lok Adalat judge then decides, okay, this should be the appropriate relief. Now it is for the claimant and the company which has to pay. Generally the insurance companies have to pay the compensation money, so they may or may not agree to the suggestion, but there can be a little area of negotiation. So within that area of negotiation, the parties negotiate and arrive at a conclusion as to the appropriate, appropriate compensation in a case. And when the parties agree to take a appropriate compensation, that is reduced into the form of a decree. So that then the parties accept. This is the basic functioning.
Wow, great. You have given actually a full 5 minutes master class on Lok Adalat. Thank you. We are already 2 hours down, so I'll bring this session to an end. But before that, I will ask everyone, starting with you, Madam Justice, if you could say the last word of advice, suggestion, motivation, whatever you feel like, to these young people who are listening. Still now 140 are on live. At one point it crossed 200, but just now 140. And then there are around 300 in Facebook and YouTube. What is your last word to them? Many of these people are, a lot of confusions are there. But I'm sure this discussion has cleared a lot of confusion. Yeah, if your last words.
If you are doing law, be happy you are at the right place, because law is all over the world, all parts of life, whether it is sports, whether it is IC trading. You see everywhere law is there. From your education, from you can buy a pencil at a stationery shop. There is law involved in it. So law is all over the place. There is no way you can be, without, no way you can be relevant at any point of time in your life. So
Very
as
nice.
lawyers never retire, they only fade away. So be happy you are a lawyer. Lawyer means, I'm taking it as a bigger
Broad, yeah.
term. So be happy that you are a lawyer, and expand yourself, learn more and more and more and more. There is no end to learning in law.
And
So
Judge,
this is my last suggestion to them. Be happy and confident you are at the right place.
yes. And judges can also practice after retirement, right?
Judges do practice to again give a 5-minute master class. Judges who retire from Supreme Court cannot practice, but then other judges can practice. High Court judges can practice in other high courts and also in Supreme Courts. The district court judges can practice everywhere after retirement.
Right. So that's really encouraging of you. Thank you, Madam Justice. Dr. Agarwal, your advice, last word to the youngsters. Unmute yourself.
The only one advice to the youngster is that believe in the power of yourself. Always say to yourself that yes, I can do, yes, I can do, yes, I can do, and you see that the things will be changed. And I am hopeful, only sky is the limit. God bless to all the students listening and viewing this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So sweet of you. Thank you. Senior Solicitor and Attorney Sri Paresh Jani ji, if you could also give your words of advice. Thank you for your time, first of all, and your advice, please. Last words.
I feel that all law colleges should see that the students study more and more about the compromise, because there are so many cases in the courts that mediation, lok adalat, and arbitration should be taught too much in the law colleges, so that this burden is reduced. That is the
Great. You know, life is not about only victory and loss. It's also about mediation, coming to a center point, compromise, even in personal life, even in legal cases. Thank you. That's a very beautiful.
Can I add one thing?
Yes. Yes.
You are discussing about the infrastructure in the law colleges.
Right. I
think that now mediation has come up like anything in all the acts also, that there must be mediation in the beginning.
Right.
Therefore, every law college should have one mediation room. What is mediation room? That also should be shown to the students.
Great.
A kind of room with round table or square table with equal size, equal chairs, etc.
Right, right. That's a very beautiful point. Beautiful suggestion, in fact. All those who are in education can note this. There must be a mediation room with a right infrastructure that can bring mediation successfully. Thank you. Thank you, Paresh ji. Namaste both. It was a very good discussion, and thank you for your time. Can I have Dr. Raina, please? Dr. Raina, you have been so active participant throughout the 2 hours. It's more than 2 hours now. What are your last suggestions and words, please?
Thank you very much, sir, for appreciation. I'll say that to those who have seen Mughalism as a film,
right,
out of our generation, law is like a Mughalism in world. It never dies. We want to see and see it again. And I
like it.
end with the I end with the word that law is from father-in-law to mother-in-law, and law is from word is attached there, sir. And law is from father-in-law to mother-in-law.
Very good.
Human being is well tied.
Your sense of humor.
So my young people should not worry. What Madam has added, I will add 3 more dimensions, which are very important and immediately can be added. Now, in public health and insurance is one area of law which is yet neglected, where students can jump.
Right.
Health and law is another after COVID.
Right,
Right.
right.
Insurance and health laws are
Yes,
in third
pharmacy
area.
was mentioned. Yeah, medicine
And the
was
third
mentioned.
laws. Of course, madam has added many things, mining of data and holding of data. They are there. But my word is that don't lose the courage. World is yours. You have to rule it. Today and tomorrow, it is of the lawyers and legal professionals.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Aina. So sweet of you. Thank you indeed. Can I have Dr. Yagnik? Your last word, please.
My last word is that all of them have said that learning has no end. I firmly believe that in this field, to make your career very brilliant, you have to be continuously a learner. You should be proud to be a learner. You have to take birth as a learner for lives and lives and lives. And the most important thing is knowledge is power. To gain that power, hard work has no option. Thank you.
And so interesting that lawyers never retire. So learning never goes west, whatever, till the last moment. Yes, Sucharita ma'am, the last word is yours.
Yeah, so to add to this, they not only not retire, but they leave their footprints
Right.
and their knowledge behind to all the young lawyers, the students, the many, and they touch so many lives, right? So no wonder it's a noble profession. And whoever asks me that what should my son or daughter do, the first thing I say, please ask her to study law. So, I'm so biased to law students.
No, it's okay. Good, good. You believe in it. You know the details. You believe in it. You have spoken about the future aspects which are emerging now. So, very good. I'm so happy to see that continuously there are congratulatory messages coming continuously. Thanking everyone, all the panelists. I find that there are some couple of delegates who have, participants joining from Bangladesh as well. So that's indeed interesting. And there are many law teachers apart from students and some young practitioners also who have joined. And we have touched, I think, more than 700-800 for at least one unique people who have come. But just now, still now 140 are live on the Zoom and around 200 plus are live on Facebook and YouTube. With this, thanking everyone. Without knowing one single law clearly, apart from a bit of constitutional law, I could manage to moderate this session, and that's why.
Oh, great!
Thank you. I learned myself a lot of things. As a journalist, I can tell if I go back and listen to this 2 hours thing, I can write a 1,000 words piece. A report I can write very well. From Manju madam to Sucharita madam, everyone together, I can write.
That shows law is live. Law is
live. Indeed, indeed. Namaste and bye-bye. We bring this session to an end. And thank you, Anand Bajar Patrika, for organizing this very interesting, very erudite, diverse areas covered, and a lot of questions. Thank you, the audience, for participating in it. It was my pleasure to have moderated it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So nice.
Bye, bye. Everybody take care, please. Bye.